All right. Actually, we're not going to do the custom icons. Let's jump back into um, still optimizing our images here. I'm sorry about that. But we're still optimizing our images. So, and that was fast, wasn't it? It was really is extremely fast. Okay, so and this is going to be it's going to be along the same lines. It's going to be really quick. It'll be a little bit longer because you have more images um, to optimize, but it's still going to be just as easy to do. So we were looking at optimizing our images. And so you have to keep in mind that saving the images for this project is kind of like a balancing act, meaning we have to balance the quality, as we talked about yesterday, the quality of the graphics and the size of each image, because we have to accommodate the device needs and that all important user experience, which means the better you understand how to optimize your images for each device and how they're going to be used in each device, then the better the experience that you are going to be able to provide that user. Would you agree? So this week, we are optimizing client-supplied images only, but we have to optimize them for each device. So you cannot go find additional images. If I go into my bridge, every project, every company has specific images. You cannot go find other images to substitute. We are going to have, so some of you did, let's go into like the newsletter. Some of you might have did a newsletter, or you might have did something additional on these additional pages, okay? We're gonna just leave these black and white for this week. We're just gonna leave them in place. We will talk about adding additional images in week 3. So your focus this week is to optimize only client supplied images and add them into the wireframe. Does that make sense? So again, you cannot add additional images. Okay, so if you look at this, here's my images and here's my XD file. We talked about this yesterday, that we can't use the same image. Say, for example, the homepage image. I can't use this large image and try and scale it down for my phone or my tablet, correct? Because I'm going to have this large image, so I don't want to do that. Also, let's go back into Bridge, and this image is 1.4 megabytes. That's a large image. Our goal was to still maintain the quality of this image, but also significantly reduce the size. That means each device requires our images to be different sizes. So one thing you have to do is pay very close attention to the size. If you look at my size right here, this is my web. It's 1920, it's 1920 pixels wide. My tablet, if you want to see the sizes, all you have to do is click on your artboards and you can look over here. You can see this gives you the size right here. So the iPad that I use is 1024, that's pixels wide. So you have to kind of give some thought into this. It just can't be, randomly putting images in here. Now, I mentioned yesterday that XD places images completely different than any other program. The process is the same, but how it positions or how it sizes them is different. So for example, let's take, and I'm going to go into Bridge. I'm going to take this image. One thing about Bridge that I like about Bridge is that if I click on any of these images, notice right here it gives me the size. So this image is 1920 by 1280, meaning it's the exact size of this artboard. However, watch what happens when I drag this into my document. If I just highlight it and I just drag it, there's the plus sign I can release. Look at that. What happened? I just said it's supposed to be the size of my artboard here. Right? Would you agree? It says it's supposed to be the entire width of my artboard. What XD does, it reduces it in half. It's still the same file size as in 1.4 megabytes, but it reduces it 50%. Which means what happens then if I start to scale this, it's going to lose clarity, correct? I'm going to start to lose the quality. Therefore, I need an image that's twice this size. I need an image that would be 3840 pixels across. So it has to be 2 times the size of my artboard. So how do I do that? What would I do? How would I fix that? We can go to Photoshop. Does that mean we resize it? Do we double the size in Photoshop? Okay, we don't want to do that because that's just going to increase our file size. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that you pay attention to the size of your artboards. Okay, so when you're getting ready to export your images that you're going to be using, you've got to be aware that they need to be made larger, especially for this artboard here. Okay, so an easy fix. We're going to fix this right now. We're going to go into Photoshop. Here's my image opened up. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is going to be very easy. We know how to place the image into XD, correct? Now let's optimize this image so that we can place it. So we're going to use Photoshop to optimize the image. Here's my layers panel. This is where this is going to happen, is in the layers panel. Right up here, you have the layers panel menu. Can you see that? My layers panel menu. You all know where that's at? Okay, if I click on this, you will see that it opens up a menu, correct? And I'm not going to quick export this. I'm going to export as. And that's going to bring us up this export as dialog box. This is where the magic happens. This is where we're going to do this, okay? So now, let's just kind of look what we have right here. You have different file formats you can export to. As I said yesterday, we talked about that the JPEG was the best format for this type of an image. So I just easily select the JPEG format. I can actually bump my quality down a little bit. I can maybe go down to 90%. That'll even maybe, I'm not going to go much lower than that because I don't want to really decrease the quality, but that 90 is going to still give me a little bit, it's going to shave off some size, and we're all about size, correct? Don't worry about this. This tells you the size of the original one. And we know that I need twice its size, right? I need 2 times larger for my homepage on my website, correct? You with me? Okay, here's where we do it. Over here to the left. See the size? Look at this. This is really cool. Okay, my size, if I click on this drop down, I want it 2 times the size. Oh, look at that. Okay, that's 1. For my tablet, I could probably use it at half the size, correct? So let's click right over here. You see the little plus sign right here where my mouse is pointing, where my cursor is pointing to? If I click on that, look, it says, okay, you can add another one. Okay, I can add this. I can make it half the size. I can click on another one. Maybe I need it even smaller for my mobile. So I might even go on this one, a fourth of that size. Is that the only place I need that? I need it. How many places do I need this? I need it 1, 2, 3 places. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to come back into here. That's all I need to do. And then I can come back over here and export. I'm going to navigate to my folder I created, my optimized images. I will then hit open. It exports them, and let's just double check to see if it did. Look at that. Now, here's the cool thing about this, okay? You can see that this is a background, but it automatically tells you which one you're going to use. So there's my 2 times size. That's a quarter the size. That's a half a size. Very nice, isn't it? Okay, so let's jump back over into Bridge or into XD. Let's get rid of this. Now, as I said, it's a drag and drop. We don't want to crop it. Don't do anything to the image, Andrea, so don't crop it at all. You shouldn't modify that image from its original, meaning the size should be the same. We're going to crop it or mask it in here. So now let's go into Bridge. I want to find my optimized images, correct? So I can go into my week 2. Here's some optimized images. Now here they are. Here are my files. This is the one at 2 times the size. If I highlight this, now watch what happens. I'm going to drag it over. Look at that. I get the plus sign, release it. Do you see that? Now, let's go into here. Here's my size. If I double click on that, now you can see where it's positioned in my frame. Where it's ghosted is outside of this frame. I can also increase the size of this if I choose. I can come over here and make sure that that is locked. And now we can think about cropping this image. If I want to move it around, I can move it up to here. I can increase it a little bit. Maybe I want to get this little area out and this area out to strengthen the communicative attributes. Now look at that. Now let's see, maybe just slightly a little bit more. But what I like about this is that you can see where you're positioning it at in the frame. You can even use, if you really want to dial this in, you can use your left and right arrow keys to kind of move it over. Now look, once I click outside on the pasteboard out here, look where it's at. Look how nice that is. That's cool, isn't it? Let's do the same with this next picture. So if we open up Bridge, you can even, if you can even do it from, Finder if you wanted to. I can grab my Finder tool and say, okay, this one would be the one that was a half of the size, and I can drag, although I like Bridge much better. And there we go. We zoom in. Let's think again. I want you to start thinking about the focal point. How can you change or make the photo more dynamic? So double click on it. I can scale it. I can move this up to here. Maybe I even want to scale a little bit more. You get the idea. Then I can remove this labeling. There we go. We can move over here to here's the home page right here. Let's get rid of that. And we can use Bridge. Yes, you double click on the images if you want to maneuver it or change it, scale it within that frame. So Bridge, now we take the half size, or no, the quarter size, correct? And we just drag and drop. Look at that. And then I double click, and then I can just drag these handles. But think about what's going to create the strongest focal point for your images. That is fast, isn't it? And you're going to do that for all your images. So if you look at, for example, but we're not adding new images here, so don't worry about images if you're doing a newsletter on this additional page or these additional pages, all you're worrying about, your focus, again, as I said, was for the client supplied images only. Google Map can be left till week 3. About us. So the about us, if I even click on my frame, I can see that it's 960 pixels wide. So I only have one image that's about us. So I could, I can go into Bridge. I can select that image about us, right? I can open it. It's going to open it up here. I can then optimize it. So again, we just come into here, File, Export As. That's the size. So I can, export this at, again, we can make the changes here. It's going to optimize it for me. So maybe we go half that size, 75.75, and then we export. And that's going to be our, probably have to rename, you could rename that to About Us. You can always, you can rename these, but you want to keep, the key is you want to keep this size on there. It just helps you identify. And let's go into there. Oops, wrong one. Week 2, optimize images. There we go, there it is. And if I jump back over into XD, I'll move this over here. I'll just move this down here and drag this into there. There we go. Look at that. I can crop that. So look at that size. So 0.75 worked out really well for that. I'm not going to crop this one too much. I don't want to lose too much. And then you do the same for these, right? So wherever a photo is needed, I need these here, these really small ones here. That would definitely be your smallest size that you're going to export as. So if I needed, I'm not gonna need this one, but let's just say, for example, I just want to show you the smallest file sizes they have. You can go all the way down to, this size right there, a quarter, somewhere like that for those very, very small circles, if you have those. Pretty slick, isn't it? All right. Any questions on how to optimize the images and how to resize them, crop them, etc.? All right, let's move on to the next one then. I'm going to stop it.